Do you ever want to know why they use an egg white in a whiskey drink? Let's find out today on Alchemix, the science of spirits. Hey Internet, it's Carl here at Seven Hills, and on Alchemix we're going to see why we use an egg white in a whiskey sour. It's one of my favorite cocktails. I drink a lot of them at home. It's a super easy cocktail to make, so let's get into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make two whiskey sours, one with an egg white, one without an egg white. And we're going to be able to see the differences between them and taste the differences between them, because I think there is a huge difference when it comes to not using an egg white in your whiskey sours. Now, an egg white can also be used in other drinks, just not a whiskey sour, but it's probably, I'd say, the most common drink where you're going to find one. If you're not used to having an egg white in your cocktail, it is a pretty popular ingredient. It helps emulsifies.
Here we go. Emulsification is the process of dispersing two or more immiscible liquids together to form a sustainable mixture. Kind of like a holiday sauce. Melted butter, suspended in lemon juice and water. Those usually don't mix, but you emulsify it with egg yolk so you get a nice creamy holiday sauce. Dry shaking allows a higher temperature for a better emulsify procedure, more aeration, and a thicker foam at the top of the finished cocktail. Awesome. Back to you, Carl.
Also helps the cocktail be frothy and give it a nice, rich, foamy texture to the cocktail, which things that I love when I drink. So let's start building these out. So what we're going to start first is the non-egg white version. So we got our tin here. Let's build this correctly. So we're going to use Cedar Ridge bourbon. It's a great bourbon, nice and smooth. It tastes awesome, and it tastes pretty darn good in a whiskey sour. So we're going to do 2 ounces of bourbon. We're going to do 2 ounces of sour mix. This is a sour mix that we use in-house that I came up with the recipe. It's a pretty common sour mix recipe. We're going to show you how I make my sour mixes on another episode, so stay tuned for that. And then I preferably add bitters inside my cocktail. Some people will float it on top. I put it inside because that's just how I am. So about 3 or 4 dashes of this, depending on how much Angostura bitters you want to use. Make a mess while you put the ice in. It's always a good time. I'm going to shake this bad boy up. What's great about these double-sided tins is it gets cold really fast, which is great. All right, so there we have a whiskey sour without any egg white. The reason why it's that color is because of the bitters. Again, if you didn't use the bitters inside the cocktail, it would be a lighter color, more like the sour mix. But again, that's the way I like to build them. That's what these videos are going to be about, is how I like to drink them and what I find. I'm not saying they're better than other people's recipes, but you can find other recipes online. So we're going to do it the way I like to drink them. So there's that. And then we're going to build it with the egg white. All right, so now let's build it with the egg white. It's basically the exact same recipe, except for, you guessed it, egg white. So again, Cedar Ridge bourbon, 2 ounces. Sour mix, 2 ounces. About 3 or 4 dashes of bitters. And then now the good parts. So what you can do is instead of putting the egg white in here, you put it in the other tin because in case you get eggshell or the yolk in here, you just wasted a bunch of ingredients. And your boss doesn't like it when you waste a bunch of ingredients. So you just separate it. Put it off camera. So then what you have to do is obviously pour the egg white into here. And what you have to do is what's called a dry shake. No ice. What that's going to do is, what we learned earlier, emulsify the ingredients and get the egg white to be its most frothiest. It just is better if you first shake it for about 5 or 8 seconds and then add ice to make it cold. So when you do a dry shake, it doesn't create a huge seal, so it is kind of loose. You might get a little liquid on you, but it's part of the game. Now we're gonna add a little ice. I just love the smell. When you open this container up, you smell the whiskey and the bitters coming through. Oh, it's so amazing. See now how it has a seal? It's harder to break open. Crack open, break open, whatever. Fill the bad boy up with glass. Fill the bad boy with ice, not glass. That'd be horrible to drink glass. So there's obviously a little bit more liquid in here, right? It's about, I don't know, half an ounce to an ounce of egg white, depending on. I use large eggs, so that's usually what I use for it. And as you can see, it's a different color, obviously. The top of the head is started to already separate. Not separate, but layer itself, where the frothiness is going to come up to the top, and the rest of the drink is going to settle at the bottom, and just gives it another texture. So side by side, you can kind of see the differences already happening to them, where now you got about 3/4 of an inch of the frothiness to it. So let's take a sip of the non-egg white one. I mean, it tastes good. It's just, you know, you taste the whiskey, you can taste the sour. The bitters there in the back end, they kind of feel separated, right? They kind of feel like they're all individual flavors. They're not blended together, and there's just not this great creaminess to the cocktail. And then let's try one with the egg white in it. Now you can definitely see it now where it's starting to separate. So usually when I build these out, you know, you set them up for the server or for the guest at the bar. You kind of tell them, wait a second, to kind of let it do its thing. So yeah, you can taste all the ingredients are more blended together. That's what the emulsification does. It just makes them all work together very well. There's a nice creaminess to it and a frothiness to it. So there you have it. Why I put an egg white in a whiskey sour. Till next time. Would you mind grabbing me a cold brew, if you don't mind? Perfect. Episode 1, because